I almost creamed my pants when I heard this riff. I'm like, oh yes. I'm like, oh yes.
Song of the year. I live for songs like that.
And they go, the circle beat.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. This is a very special three-way episode that we have here for you today. And this is the first review on this channel that will not be done in Latvian language. So, yeah, I have some international reinforcements to help me with this stuff. And hailing all the way from United States, New York, second time appearance on the show, one of the greatest air guitarists out there, Trez from the YouTube channel Total Metal Rejection. What's up, man?
Hey man, how's it going? And again, I'm gonna butcher this in your language, Lavraka, to everybody. But
That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that epic intro.
And also super stoked to introduce our friend from the UK, my idol when it comes to riff humming, Joe from the Nightmare Cabin YouTube channel and the podcast, The Metal Show with Gully and Joe. What's going on, man?
Thank you. How's it going, guys? It's great being on the show. Thank you for having me on. And it's great speaking to you. And yeah, obviously great seeing Trez again.
Yeah, guys, thanks for coming on. And obviously, as you can see in the title, today we will be going track by track and reviewing the newest studio album, NUKLEARTH, by the crazy technical German death metal band CYTOTOXIN. And yeah, the album came out on the 21st of August 2020, I believe. So before we actually get into the album itself, let's talk about the band in general a little bit. So, when and how did you first get exposed to these nuclear commandos?
Yeah, Cytotoxin. I've heard of them since their first album. Not the very first one, but their official one, I guess. I don't know what you call it. But ever since not Plutonium Heaven, that one I missed out on. Just a full length Radiophobia is the first time I heard of these guys, and it's just blown away by the sheer technicality that these guys have, and just it's just brutal. And those two mixtures is just amazing to me.
What about you, Joe?
I'd never heard of the band before. And I'd gone to a show in London. I'm sure this must have been, no, it was definitely last summer. And it was actually to see Defeated Sanity. And it was an all-day show. I met a friend there, and it was, I've got to admit, it was the first time I'm a little out of my depth here. I felt old because every band was just and it was, and I remember saying to my friend, if Cannibal Corpse came out and played a set now, it would be like they might as well be Deep Purple. It's like, if this is the new Brutal, I don't know, man. I'm a little, and yeah, every band is just pig squeals, and anyway, Defeated Sanity were going to be were the headliners, and then second from last band was CYTOTOXIN, which at that point I'd never heard of. Had not, yeah, none the wiser. And my friend said to me, "Oh no, I've heard this band. These guys are pretty cool." And he went, "They've got a theme of like an end of the world, like a biohazard, like a disease taking over the world, or escaped gas and things like that." And yeah, so one thing that they had a pretty good backdrop. This was a really small venue as well, but they had a really good backdrop, and they had like toxic waste things like all over the stage, and they all had like the matching t-shirts with the like a biohazard thing on the pocket, and yeah, the singer looks just like Arnold Schwarzenegger
He
and
sounds like it also in his
speaks
regular
like him
voice.
too. And yeah, they came out like, and they just had, it was just a really fun show. He would put a gas mask on, he would, hold up the biohazard sign, and then he put up another one. And I don't know how they got hold of it, but like a roundabout road sign.
Mm.
They must have stole it somewhere. I don't know, messing around. But he would hold up a roundabout sign and spin it round, and they go, "The circle beat." Just hold this roundabout sign, and yeah. So with the gas mask and the visuals and the thing, and they really did have a lot of fun with the show. And yeah, at that point, I was like, right, I've not been into a lot of the bands today, but this band is cool. Again, I'm still not too sure with the vocals and the a little over technical, but this band are pulling it off and they're putting on a good show. And yeah, this band are definitely good at what they do. And Defeated Sanity came on, and yeah, I was left a little cold by them actually, to be honest. I'd had a couple of their albums, but yeah, it was good. But yeah, Cytotoxin was a band that did leave an impression on me, and doing this episode in order to jump onto their new album, it was like, right, now's the time to actually investigate this band properly. So I'm jumping on board now with the new album. So that's my perspective on it.
You know what? I actually think that this album is a very great place to start with them. And you mentioned that aspect of maybe being overly technical, and I think that there is a very fine line between being overly technical and senseless noodling and being pretty cool. And I think they kind of know the right moment when to pull it back. Sometimes they can go into that noodling territory, but right when you think, yeah, guys, we get it, you can play, they kind of pull back to something more simpler, like maybe something not that technical and not that difficult to play, maybe something groovier. And I think that's very cool. But also, speaking about the concept of the album and the band in general, so Plutonium Heaven, the first album, basically the concept of that album was they were like kind of reporting the whole Chernobyl accident, basically giving a timeline. Radiophobia was talking about some kind of direct consequences, maybe a couple of years after the accident. I believe Gamageddon was even like 20 years removed from the accident or something like that. And how did you guys understand the concept of this album?
Huh. Actually, I never actually saw it that way, which is pretty cool. Now it makes much more sense now, hearing you say it. But I love everything about this new one. And like you said, I like what I really like about this band is that they really pull back on the technical aspect. That way, they don't just alienate the crowd and obviously the listener. So I love that aspect of it. And I did the artwork in full. Shows the whole. Obviously the explosion and pretty much at that the radiation is pretty much going everywhere and it's coming from for humanity pretty much.
Yeah, basically, speaking about the artwork, what do you guys think about it? Basically, a dude chilling on a throne of barrels, or maybe a nuclear warlord or something like that. How do you guys like it?
It's kind of got that surfing aspect to it as well, doesn't it? Like a lifeguard sitting on a beach with like surfing going on in the background in a twisted, demented way.
Yeah, it's almost like their version of what is it? Sacred Reich, Surf Nicaragua type. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like how he has like I think there's money around on top of the drums as well. Uh, the toxic radioactive drums. There's some cash strewed around there, so yeah, you know it's kind of crazy when you think about it. How this is their life now, and just for the greed and the money and all this stuff, and this is what the outcome is: this giant tsunami fuck off wave coming coming for everybody.
I have this weird obsession when it comes to gas masks, almost a fetish, but it has to be the classical GP5 model. When it's something other, I don't know, then I'm not really that into it. But this artwork is kind of growing on me as well. But by the way, Trez, did you finally get that physical copy of yours, or are you still waiting on it?
Actually, yeah, because I actually have it here. I was gifted one by my brother-in-law, the Ray the Stray. Um, he gave me the wooden box set that that was released, like a yellow box. So I got that, and then I ordered the gas mask. So I actually have, because I missed the first time going around when I think Gamageddon came out. They released a gas mask that has cytotoxin on the side, and I missed that. Totally missed out on that, but they re-released it, so I got that as well. So I got both of them.
I wanted to do this episode in a gas mask, but the sound quality would probably not be that great.
Yeah. And plus, it's hard to drink beer while you're having gas. I already tried and it failed.
I was thinking of buying a gas mask. Actually, I was looking at with everything we're going through at the moment. It was saying from a certain date it'd be mandatory to wear a face mask in
Right, yeah.
supermarkets and on trains, and wasn't something I was particularly happy about. So I just thought, right, I'm going to go one further and buy a gas mask and just walk in the supermarket with that. And if they tell me to remove it, I go, well, you know, I'm a bit of a contrarian like that. So I never got round to it though. But now CYTOTOXIN are selling them. Maybe be a two birds, one stone. I'll make the excuse that I'm supporting a band and then just wear it around.
Yeah, which I don't see a problem with it, because you see all these other masks that everybody's wearing. You got if you're at work, you have a type of mask for vapor, for gas, and for everything. But for a highly infectious mortal, they tell you just to wear a cloth mask. So
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. Probably best not get into it all, but
yeah,
it's like a 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach, and it's like, you know. But you actually had it for a while, didn't you, Trey?
yeah. I had it for I was out of work for a month and a half, sick. So yeah. I mean, it is real, and it will fuck you up pretty much. Yeah, it almost sent me to the hospital. But my doctor told my wife, don't let him go to the hospital, or else he's not coming out. So it was pretty tough, and my parents just went through it too, both of them. Actually, two weeks ago, they just got the all clear. They came out negative, but yeah, they had it for about 2 weeks as well. So
Shit, man.
yeah.
By the way,
Yeah,
Tres, did that gas mask also come with the filter, or is it only the mask?
Yeah, it's only the mask. It's only the mask.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think then we can get into the album itself. And it starts, I mean, we can tell that the album is like 44 minutes long or something like that, and 11 tracks. And it starts with a interesting name. I don't know how to pronounce it the correct way. Autumn, maybe. And I love how the band chose to start right away with the blast in the face. No atmospheric 10-minute intros, just straight up, let's go attitude straight from the beginning. I love when bands do that, and when you put on an album and it starts right in your face. What did you guys think about this choice?
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, like you say, there's no silly intro, which every album seems to have nowadays. It goes straight into the blasting, but then just goes into that nice groovy, like dun 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 dun. And then what really sort of took me aback, like my ears perked up, and I thought, right, was the wonderful little melodic solo that, and I just that's when I thought, wow, like now I've seen this band live, I know what to expect, but that was kind of like, I'm right, they're doing something different now. I don't know if they ever did that on albums before, um, but yeah, to me that kind of signified, right, this is more than just another band that are just slamming for the sake of it. You know, there's definitely a bit of thought gone into this, and yeah, I was definitely intrigued from that moment onwards.
Yeah, it's amazing start for an album without any little cutscenes or intros or something like that. It's just straightforward into it, and yeah, like you mentioned, Joe, their solos are throughout this whole album. It's just amazing, and also very melodic too, which is really refreshing to see in a band like this. Not just breakdowns upon breakdowns. It's the combination of intricate solos, groovy riffs, and just punishing blast beats and everything that they do on this song. And like you said, in that part with the solo is just great, and a great intro song. Just to tell you guys that yeah, Cytotoxin, this is the third album, but we're still we're still as heavy as fuck, which is pretty good.
You know, the interesting thing about this album, I have heard some complaints of people complaining about the fact that the vocal variety is not as big as it was on previous albums. And to some point, I kind of get what they mean, but this song is a great example, in my opinion, that that complaint is not true because I mean, you kind of get a Brie scream that kind of could lead into a pig squeal, but there are no pig squeals on this album, and I think that there is a pretty cool vocal change also, like 2 minutes 30 into the song. So I kind of disagree with with that complaint. I kind of get what they mean because the previous albums are crazy, especially like of course, the first album, Plutonium Heaven, and I really liked Gamageddon, but they kind of seemed to tweak the vocals a little bit from each album.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought there's much variety on the vocally on the album, but I don't think it wasn't something I really missed. It wasn't something that what he does serves the songs well enough that it wasn't really an issue for me.
No, it was fantastic. His vocals, obviously they feel like they're a little bit maturing as well. Because besides apart from leaving out pig squeals and stuff like that, but he gets deeper. His voice in certain parts of all these songs, tend to get deeper, and plus he doubles up on the vocals at times. It just sounds really awesome.
Hmm.
And there's one thing about this song too. Right at the end, when they're doing their chorus, the last chorus and the last part of it, there's some keyboards in the background, which is kind of cool. It reminded me of because I was just recently watching Septic Flesh do their live thing. I think it was in Mexico. I think it was with a choir, and I was like, wow, that would be so cool. I mean, not cytotoxin with a choir, but but to hear that track already set up, playing live, and they just put that there because that at the end of the song, it just pops. It's so good. It actually lingers on that little sound at the end, which is really awesome.
I've not got around to watching that Septic Flesh thing. Actually, you've just jogged my memory to go check that out because I bet that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, I think we can move on to the next song, and I believe that this was the first single, Lupus Aurora, and right out of the gate I'm saying that this is my fucking song of the year. I live for songs like that. I believe that also the first time when I actually heard it was when Trez, when you uploaded that reaction video. Before that, I didn't even know that CYTOTOXIN are going to release an album this year, and fell in love with the song instantly. Like the intensity straight from the beginning. Like, I really love it.
Yeah, yeah. This song was amazing. Love everything about it too. This is my second favorite song on this album, but yeah, this is just an amazing song, and I love the chorus. Which is homini homo luptus. The way he says it, I know, probably butchered that. The way he says that, it sounds so good. Which is like a Latin proverb, which I think I have it here somewhere. It says, "A man is a wolf to another man." I guess that's what that means. But it's so freaking amazing. I love that, and you get to hear like the drum work on this song, or well, on the whole album. He uses two different snares, which is kind of cool. It doesn't have that just that ping sound that other bands have. He also has a regular piccolo snare, and you don't hear the ping sound only when I guess they want you to hear it, which is pretty cool. And also the fact that there is no the drummer uses no hi hats at all in this album. He just
Really?
uses he just uses two rides and
Hmm.
nothing else.
That's cool. I think we basically hit the ground running from the last track. What's not to love? There's the tight, airtight technical shredding brings to mind something like early Decapitated or maybe early Cryptopsy. But
Yes.
again, the just that beautiful melodic section in the middle of the song, which then leads into a real blistering again but melodic solo later on, which is just phenomenal. Really, it's everyone is on top form musician wise on this album, and I'm guessing I don't know did the producer maybe have a hand in this at all? Do you think like when they're adding in keyboards and just different effects, do you maybe think that person may have pushed them in that direction? I don't know, but
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
melodic thing as well, is that something that's added in this album, or is that always been present?
Um. It has been present, but not as much as this album.
Yeah, okay.
At least to me, yeah. That I remember hearing their like Armageddon. They started with a little bit of melodic little elements, but not as
But it's more
as
prevalent in this album.
yeah. At least to me,
Yeah.
it sounds really awesome.
Did you guys know that the vocalist recorded this song while being fully naked?
The fuck?
And why not?
Does it change anything for you when you know that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It must bring out that some primitive instinct, some caveman.
Plus, he's like a really huge dude. Like he's, I mean,
He is built like a brick shithouse. He is ripped as well.
yeah, which, yeah, that's crazy.
And also, I love that bouncy part at 2 minutes 15, like a mosh pit starter. Like, for sure, the shirt is off and everybody is going ape shit. Great song. Like, I was really surprised when I saw the track list for the first time and I saw that this song is not the first song on the album. So, that I guess more praise to the first song, Autumn, because that was kind of a brave choice not to put this song as the lead in. So yeah, if we are done, we can move on. Okay, so the third song, Urine Breath, Urine Breath, how do you say that?
Urine breath, I think. Well, I don't know. I'm the wrong person to to ask how to pronounce shit.
I guess, yes, it's definitely not urine breath, but
Is there something like breathing uranium or something like that?
Must be.
well, yeah, probably. But how do you call that person who is standing in front of the choir and like swinging a small stick, and somehow everybody knows how to play their instruments?
Conductor.
Oh, what do you call it? Damn
Like,
it.
Yeah,
oh
The
yeah,
conductor.
the
Yeah.
conductor. I don't know. For some reason, when I hear the chorus to this song, I picture a death metal conductor wearing a gas mask and like leading this nuclear symphonic orchestra or something like that. I don't know. The chorus has that feeling for me.
I like as well that choppy little bit in the middle as well. That dun, 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 you know, and then just picks straight back up into the blast again. The drums on this album, yeah, it is the whole album, but this song as well, in particular, it's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, this song. I don't know. The first time I heard this song, it sounded like something that aborted would do, because it sounds like an aborted song, which is really awesome.
I also love those, as Trez would say, sneaky accents on the instruments, especially on the cymbals and on the on the right cymbal. I guess sometimes for a second or two there are these super fast blasts on those drums, and that creates these great accents. And also have to mention the bass line. The tone really cuts through, and that's always a positive thing for me in death metal.
There's a little spoken word passage in this as well, isn't there? I don't know if that is that a sample of a film
Oh yeah,
or
yeah, right. I don't
Yeah, at
think
the
that's
end.
a
Yeah.
sample. No, I think they recorded it themselves. I believe so.
yeah. I didn't know whether or not it sounded, you know, like it could be, but wasn't sure.
It basically gives this feeling that, at least to me, that cattle decapitation created with their latest album Death Atlas uh, at the end
Mm.
of the last year. Like also this apocalyptic atmosphere. Basically, we have fucked up the world. Everything is going down, full Armageddon, and yeah, similar atmosphere. Didn't you guys also pick that up?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's great, especially that. Yeah, it does have an atmosphere, especially with that spoken word, whatever they're like reading, or whatever they're saying at the end. Um, but yeah, it gives that nice dread feeling, and his voice too. You know, he has a really deep voice. It just sounds really ominous. Like, oh shit.
I think they've tapped into something pretty cool. You know, they've, I mean, like a sort of nuclear assault or a, you know, something cataclysmic, bringing on, you know, the end of humanity. Obviously, isn't it's not a new subject in metal, but the way they've kind of tapped into it, they've always used like a biohazard as the theme. They've, you know, I didn't realize as well, but they've taken a few real events as well, like Chernobyl, for example, and yeah, where they've put it in with their visuals as well, the way they compose themselves on stage with the stage set up, the matching t-shirts, it's just all tied into one theme. And yeah, they can, you know, you can use true events or they can tap into fiction, but the way they stick to it, I think it's something no one else has particularly done. And just like the way like Nile have done with the Egyptology and whatnot, Cannibal Corpse with the zombies, and the fact that they've got, you know, the fact that this could happen is, it just gives it that extra little edge, doesn't it? Just that yeah, this is fun listening to, you know, songs about people evaporating and whatnot. But yeah, especially in the situation we're in at the moment. I mean, this is mild compared to what these guys are singing about. But yeah, it's just that little loom in the corner but it could happen. So it's kind of
Yeah.
got that. There's a bit of a George Romero feel to it as well. I know George Romero did zombie. He's primarily known for his zombies films, but he did do a couple of other apocalyptic sort of themes ones on the side as well, like the Crazies, for example.
I think that the vocalist has said that he has lyrical themes for 2 or 3 albums to follow. So I wonder whether they will also go into some sci-fi direction. And let's say on this album, the humanity is going down, and maybe on the next album, we will be talking about the nuclear world with some nuclear monsters and stuff like that. I wonder whether they will go in that direction.
I mean, maybe they'll with what's going on at the moment, they'll probably bring that into it. Maybe do a bit more of a social commentary side of it as well. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
it's really cool because they could go anywhere.
Okay, let's move on to the fourth song called Dominus. I mean, if not for Lupus Aurora, this would probably be my favorite song on the album. Like, I love the guitars in the beginning. Like, immediately when you hear those guitars, you know that it's Cytotoxin, like it's their signature sound. Joe, you mentioned the Nile before, and I think Nile has kind of occupied that Egyptian theme and sound, and I think Cytotoxin has done the same with this whole Chernobyl theme. Like these riffs,
yeah,
they
absolutely.
sound nuclear. Like I guess it also sounds a bit spacey. I guess that also works in that factor as well. But like literally, when you hear those guitars, you kind of picture this slime and these nuclear reactors and stuff like that. Like the atmosphere is really strong on this album.
Yeah, especially you got the video too. They got a video for this too, and like Joe, like you mentioned, the visuals when they're playing live. Um, they have all their radiation symbols on the pocket in front of their shirts, and you got those barrels in the background. Everything fits, and they're all wearing gas masks. So it's really awesome. Great, obviously visuals and good song. Really good song.
Guys, can we agree to the fact that 250 into the song, when the line one global buried one global burial site kicks in, like that has to be the heaviest moment on the album. I'm not sure what's the proper term for it in English, but like the direct translation from Latvian, when we hear something like that, it forces you to make this mean face, like this tough guy face, and you kind of nod along with the song. And when that moment kicks in, like I don't know, I just want to take my refrigerator and throw it out of the balcony or something like that.
Yeah, the again, what it's got that stunning introduction with the over the thing, and again, they just seem to find the perfect balance on this album between keeping it technical and brutal like they've always done, but they're just everything is just up to the ante in terms of songwriting, and I think a lot of bands, when they come out on that first album, they do want to, they're showing what they're capable of, and they've got that angry, desperate energy to stand out. So, in a lot of ways in this particular genre, you do have to kind of go, we're more brutal than the last band. But now, 3 or 4 albums in, they've proved all that. They've proved that they can shred everyone out of the place and melt your face. But now it's like, right, let's rather than designing songs for the live show, it's like now it seems like they've designed something to actually sit and listen to. And this song in particular, I think, encapsulates that. It's got that perfect balance between keeping it catchy, putting the melodies in. It's just that little sprinkling of light that just separates all the brutal bits. And that introduction is just fantastic. And then, like you mentioned earlier, when it it goes really together, it goes really intense, but then it just sort of cuts it in half with a nice chuggy little riff, and then it just slows down even more. So that, you know, And again, you've got a nice little melody over the top of that, but doesn't matter. That slow bit at the end, it's just oh, dun 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 dun, dun, dun. You know, it's yeah, it works fantastically. And little things like that are what you need live. I mean, it's all well and good being shredded and brutal, but when you just slice it in half and go really slow, that's when the crowd really start moving. You know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Those slow parts are like the heaviest, and I always said this on anything. You don't have to be as fast as possible to be the most brutal. You could be as slow as fuck and sound absolutely crushing, and that's what this song. When it starts off with that riff and that introduction, that nice little guitar play that's at the beginning is just so good, and the drums and the bass and all the little accents that everybody does on this is just also is just the perfect song for a video, and that's their official video that they made for this whole album. The whole thing is awesome, but this does sound like they're made for a video. And I'm glad there is a video for this because it's just absolutely amazing.
I was listening to some interviews with the band, and I always love how these technical guys always say the same thing. Like, basically, the guy said, well, the main difference on this album is that uh, not every song is between 250 BPM and 280 BPM. We also have very slow songs like 180 BPM. And I'm like, yeah, that's very slow
It's
indeed.
slow.
All right. So the fifth song called "Drown, Drown in Havoc." Also great
Oh
song.
yeah.
Very cool chorus. Like yesterday, it was stuck in my head. Those 2-3 seconds, just that drown in. No, wait. How did it go? Well, anyway, the chorus was stuck in my head and playing on loop, like for the
Yeah, another one. Sorry.
"Drown in Havoc" or yeah, so that was super cool. Also, very nice alarm clock style riff,
Oh
maybe the
yeah.
most
Yeah.
memorable.
The killer bees, pretty much. Though that bee sound, I don't know what that is, but the way when they harmonize that the two guitars doing that same riff, it's kind of like Alice in Chains a little bit. You know, one on top, one on the bottom, doing that same riff, and just the ride simple accompanying that is just oh, that's it, man. It's like that those burnt pieces on a barbecue. You got that little nice tasty bits there. They're just and those are it for me with this album. Those little bees swarming and it's just so good, so good.
I actually think well, you mentioned in the last song that this would be a great video. I think this would be another song that'd be great for a video, but even as like a single or something, I think this song's actually really accessible. I would definitely use this song as the song to sort of win new people
Yeah, you're
over.
right.
And I think it's got again, as I said earlier about the mixture of between the melodies and the brutality. But yeah, that again that riff just running through it. And but it just keeps coming back, doesn't it? It's like they get into it, build up to it, play it, and then they go into this sort of when it comes back into the song, it feels like they're coming full circle, and they're just up in the ante on the intensity. But that little thing is like sort of like your anchor guiding you through the song. So when you sit in there getting a pummeling, that's the little riff that sticks in your head later on. And I think this has actually got a really good crossover potential with that track. I actually think between Dominus and this Drowning Havoc, I think these two are probably my two favourite songs on the album. Actually, either that or the opener.
Nice. I also loved how they threw in a nice breakdown at the end of the song. Like they kind of could have ended the song right there, but they threw in just one more breakdown. And I think we didn't mention it, but basically every song is somewhere around the 4 minute mark. Only one song exceeds the 5 minute mark, but basically everything is somewhere around the 4 minute mark. Yeah,
Yeah, there isn't an ounce of fat on the album, is there?
nope.
Yeah, and then that last solo at the end, just to oof, so good. And they do that so well. When they add solos everywhere in their songs, and it just leads up to something you want to hear more. And that last little solo at the end is just so good.
The next song, Soul Harvester,
Mm.
probably
Yes.
probably one of the coolest song names on this album. And we didn't also mention this, but there are guest vocalists on this album, and one of them is on this song. Elliot from Beneath the Massacre is also guesting on this song, and I really love the intro groove. Kind of reminds me of my favorite band, Discarnate, also a great band on the same label, Unique Leader Records. So check them out if you haven't. But the song itself kind of grew on me at first. I didn't really get into it that much. One thing that I have to say, that main riff, I have heard it somewhere else. I can't really put my finger on it, but like it sounds so familiar. Like maybe one of you can help me with it, or no, I don't know.
Uh, no, it's not ringing any
No,
bells with me.
I've heard that before. It sounds so familiar, but oh man, I almost not to sound nasty and turn this into well, it's already like evening hours to you guys, but I almost creamed my pants when I heard this riff. I'm like, oh yes, I'm like, oh yes, and then I don't know what point you hear that little nice fucking bass part there is like, oh, that yeah, that's so fucking good. Amazing song. I didn't know that there was a guest vocals on this, but it makes sense if you got what is it, Beneath the Massacre?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. And so it makes sense now. Like that riff would be what do you call it? Entangled with a band like that is really good, really good. I love that riff.
Yeah, they've kind of turned down the melodic side on this album, on this track, for the wimps like me. This one is all. This one's all meat and gravy. This one, it's got a nice chunky groove to it as well. Nice mid pace, like dun, 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 you know, it go kind of picks up and goes all blasty for a second as well, but then comes back to this nice groove, and it's you just can't help but nod your head to it, you know. And I'd imagine this one will get a really good reaction from the crowd live. Beneath the Massacre, man, you jogged my memory. I haven't listened to them in a long time. I got into the first two albums, and then I must admit I've lost track. So I know they've done something recently. I think they did kind of stop for a little while. But yeah, the fact that this guy's, you know, he's making appearances on albums like this and they're still going around. That's good to see.
Also, one thing that really stands out when we talk about this song is the drumming. And what I mean by that is those short bursts of intensity and aggression. Like, that's so awesome to hear those little and small pauses and then short bursts of fucking intensity. Like, I would so much love to see a drum playthrough for this song. Like, I don't know what it is about a good drum playthrough, but it always makes a song so much better. Is it only me, or do you guys feel the same about drum playthroughs?
Yeah, I like them. I mean, I could watch them all day. I'm not a drummer in the slightest, and I have a lot of admiration for drummers because of they're able to do something I can't. I'm just looking the guy up. Actually, his name's Stefan Stockberger. So I think we've all mentioned the drummer so far. So we should probably highlight him and point him out. But he's new to the band. He's only actually drummed on 2 albums. This is his second album with the band, and he's done bits and bobs, but nothing I've ever heard of. 4 chapters. Voice was another one. Alcatraz. I don't know. Is that the Graham Bonnet band? um, but yeah, but it seems like this is his breakthrough. Really, since joining Cytotoxin, and yeah, this is his second album with them. So yeah, it looks like a young talent to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I was watching their little studio recordings, and the producer did have a little hand on telling them, try this, and like all of them do, and engineers. Um, but he brought his own, and that's cool that the rest of the band gave him the what do you call it, the trust, and he didn't want to use any hi-hats on this album, and that's crazy. It's like, oh really? But it's really good. I love that what he does on this album, that he has 2 separate snares, one with that ping sound, because it almost sounds like especially on well, most of these tracks, but like Lupus Aurora, you could almost like what Iron Maiden does, has like little tiny toms, like roto toms, and that's what it sounds like he's using as well. It's just so good that you get someone fresh uh, into the mix for already a seasoned band, pretty much. This is their 3rd album, but like a big band like this, it's good to have that freshness, and I love that he utilizes everything on his kit, and he knows when to lean in on the blast beats and when just to do little accent pieces. That way, it lets to emphasize and accentuate the rest of the songs and whatever the bassist is doing, which he plays a nice strong part with the basses in this. That I do love the how he plays with the basses on this album, and it really shows.
It's very cool that you mentioned those studio recordings because I always love when bands kind of create these mini documentary videos to let us see behind the scenes stuff. Always very interesting to see that. So, yeah, everybody should probably check that out also if you haven't. But one thing that I forgot to mention about Soul Harvester, 4 minutes and 12 seconds into the song, that also last breakdown, when I hear it every time, I don't know, my hand raises and I pretend that I have an imaginary knife in my hand and I am stabbing imaginary people. I don't know. I think that as long as it's not real people and not a real knife, it's not a problem. But for some reason, I'm doing it every time.
uh, okay, I'm never gonna listen to the song near you ever.
Like, I mean, 412, when that hits, forget about it. It's
Oh yeah, you're having like a stalker moment, pretty much.
okay. Let's move to the 7th song of the album called Coast of Lies. Like, very, very, like this. I don't know how to say it, but the chorus, it gives this feeling almost that this song is kind of made for a live show, that the audience could probably scream the chorus back at the band and it would tear down the roof pretty easily.
I agree. It's this one didn't particularly stand out for me, but it kind of it's a good album track that kind of ticks things along nicely, and there's nothing really that sort of stood out that I haven't sort of already mentioned before on previous tracks. But with that being said, it is it's still a very strong track. Um, you've got again good gap balance of blasting and nice little breakdowns, but and again it goes into a sort of nice melodic sort of climax towards the end as well. It kind of breaks down a little bit and gives you a bit of a breather. But yeah, all in all, it's not taking anything away from the album, but it doesn't quite stand out as some other previous tracks for me.
Yeah, I like that. again, it's not like the best track on this, but at the 2 minute mark, I think it is when once everything you hear them playing, and it sounds so good, and you got that little nice solo, really again melodic, but also reminds
Yeah.
me of like old school 80s, solo. I don't know. It seems really cool solo to put in there. Um, which is kind of crazy with everything blasting in the in the background. But to have a little solo like that, it's like really, really cool.
Yeah, man, I really love that solo. I love the fact that they kind of start the solo slow and end it slow, but in the middle there is this fast and crazy part. But those that start and the end, it kind of gives you that illusion that the whole solo is slow. Not really, but kinda. And I love the fact that they did it because it kind of give fuck that kind of gives this cool dynamic, because it would be kind of weird if they tried to put solos that are even faster than the riffs itself. So I thought that it was kind of cool that on the solos they kind of pull it back and bring in more melody and slow down a little bit.
Which is, you know what, that is kind of true. That if you do fast on top of fast, you don't hear nothing. But if you're doing a slow, really nice, meaty solo, and it gives you a chance to appreciate what the riff and which the rhythm guitar is doing in the background, and you're like, holy shit, that riff is really good too, as well. So because most bands, which this album does really well, which Cytotoxin does as well, like Joe you mentioned, like to is that little bridge between ultra technical bands that you're like, okay, you're just noodling just for the sake of noodling, and I know you could play, dude, but just give me something that I could, move my head to or something. And I think that this album in general has those parts, and the way they do it, they do their technical aspect, but not enough to turn people away from it. It gives the listener a feel of we're catering to, um, which is our sound, but we're catering to everybody, so we don't isolate or alienate anybody. We're technical, yes, we're fast as fuck, but we're also groovy, and they know how to construct a great song and great songs, and this is an awesome album. And I love that fact that it's not just pure technicality throughout the album, and just like bands like Rings of Saturn that you have to play at their same level to understand what the hell they're playing. This is very groovy, and also with little bits here that they play with, and a little sneak sneak little accent pieces and little technical bits in there that are really awesome.
Yeah, it's funny, just to expand on what you were saying. I remember being at a show. It was one of those old days shows, but Obituary. I'm not sure whether they were the headliner, but again, there were a lot of lower down bands. It was all, you know, and
Yeah.
but yeah, the odd nodding head here and there, yeah, the odd reaction here and there. And then when Obituary came on, the whole crowd was just going crazy. And again, I just said to a friend, I went, "Did you notice there wasn't a single blast beat in that band's set?" And it's true. It's like, look, again, I know you can play, man, but you got to write a song. Um, the guys
Yeah.
in Dream Theater, nothing but respect to them, but they've never wrote Highway to Hell. You know, and,
That's
and
true. That's
yeah, I
true.
mean, don't get me wrong, this stuff's amazing and it's got its place, and yeah, but you just again, it's just finding that balance, and I think you can never quite tell where that line is, but we all recognise the line when we hear it, and I think the band have nailed it on this album.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the longest track on the album called
The epic.
Quarantine Fortress. Yeah, I believe there is also a guest vocalist on this track doing these gurgly vocals, but I'm not sure what band he's from, so sorry about that. But the song, very topical song name, let's start with that. And I also wanted to bring up the fact that the lyrics are like written in a very clever matter. I mean, of course, it's not like it's 1970 and people in Germany don't know how to speak in English, but I have to say, like, sometimes I kind of read them and I don't understand what they're talking about. But I mean that in a good sense, like they are written like very tastefully, if I may say so.
um, I think again with this song, it's pretty much what I said about the last track. Really, I think the fact that it stands out because it's the longest song, um, but it's got everything that we've got so far. You've got a bit of a bit more atmosphere, but what notably sticks out for me is the ending. I like the way the song reduces down to that little single riff of the you know they could have started with that and then built up, but it seems like this track they go backwards. It kind of starts off all guns blazing and then reduces as the song goes down and sort of works its way down like that rather than starting sort of basic and then building up to the climax. The climax kind of comes down lower, which gives it like a real sinister atmosphere. Like if this was playing out like a story, it would be like a moment of doom at the end.
One thing about the song, it's kind of interesting that in the beginning, I think that it would be nice to put a nice cricket noise over that riff because it felt kind of fitting, but they decided to stay silent on the vocals. So that's an interesting choice because I feel that they kind of did that sound on Radiophobia and on Gamageddon maybe, and I felt that that intro should have had that cricket noise over it.
Yeah, freaking awesome, awesome track. Really long too. I mean, I think yeah, it is the longest song on here. Um, but like almost at the end, I love that nice riff that they have there, and yeah, the guitar starts it off, and then everybody just follows. It's just really really good.
Um, okay, so we are moving on to the ninth track on the album, and not really a song, I guess, more of an interlude. And I'm very happy that I have some English speaking people here because I always have this one question when I hear bands doing these spoken word fragments in their songs, especially when they are not done in English. And on the previous albums, Cytotoxin have done some audio samples with some Russian uh, like basically they kind of try to create this atmospheric scene by giving you an wait where I am going with this I don't know, but basically when on the previous albums you could kind of tell that people who are doing those Russian segments are not native speakers, like that sounded kind of over exaggerated and you could feel the accent, but on this thing you can definitely tell that this is a native speaker who is doing this stuff in Russian. But what did you guys think about the fact that there are these two languages, that basically there is a Russian thing and there is also a direct translation in English? Do you prefer to kind of save the mystery and not be able to understand the foreign language, or do you want the text to be translated so you can also understand what they are talking about?
I think the translation is worthy of doing because this I'm just reading it now and it's pretty bleak. It's the earth disappeared under my feet. Smoke has covered the sun. People lost their dreams. Fire is everywhere. Oh, that's awesome. But I mean, I think it doesn't really matter what the language is. I think if it conjures up a certain atmosphere, then it's done its job. And without the translation, it may have a bit of mystique. But yeah, I'm not bothered either way. I didn't take a lot of notice of it, to be honest, when I was listening to it. I just kind of took it for what it was. Again, I thought it was another movie sample.
Yeah, I love it. You know, obviously,
I'll pass it over to you, Trey.
I love hearing the obviously band's native tongue. Obviously, this is not native to them as well, but I love, and sometimes it doesn't really translate as well, but this really does because yes, that fire is everywhere, and it's just crazy. Black puddles of scream in the dark. Wow, that's nuts. Um, but it's like everything. I like knowing what the lyrics say. I like knowing what I'm listening to, but at the same time, I appreciate what there's. It's like every single black metal band out there. When they're in there, it sounds so cool, and it's in their native tongue. It sounds so crazy to me, and it's like, wow, that's really mysterious. Um, to have it translated, it does work when the lyrics are really amazing, and this is pretty cool. I'm glad to that they did that um, on the album, which is pretty cool. Because being a big band like this, you got a lot of English. I guess it's pretty much the common language, so everybody can understand. But it's really cool that they have these two languages there, so you can appreciate both of them pretty much on the album. And having that tone in the background while he's saying all that little whatever that is, it sounds really ominous and gives that much more of a dread sounding and seriousness to what he's saying, which is really cool.
Interesting that you both think so. I don't know. For me, this kind of felt a little bit weird because the things that he's saying in Russian and the way that he's saying them, it feels very dramatic. But when they are directly translated to English, it kind of sounds, well, bleak, as you said before. I don't know. For some reason, I maybe think that they should have maybe put a slight twist on it and not make a direct translation because they kind of lose me a little bit. But in general, I think that this is a nice way to build an atmosphere before the last real song called before the title track Nuclearth. So I think that we can move on to it. That groove that starts the song, I mean, I want to rip the shirt off my body and basically start not murdering people, but well, you kind of get what I mean. Like, it's great. Again, it kind of reminds me of Discarnate and great album closer. Well, not really the closer, but the real last song is what I mean by that.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you. I mean, yeah, as the last sort of proper track with the whole band, um, this is a great way to sort of close things out, and I think this would be also a great song to play live. But yeah, a nice. It's just you've got that. It kind of comes into that riff that's a little melodic later on, but yeah, pretty much the whole song is sort of like a mid-pace groove. It always reminds me of a hardcore song in a way, and yeah, and then it builds up into that sort of melodic. But when it comes into that nice slow end as well, it's yeah, great song to sort of close things out with. Not we have a little epilogue afterwards, but no, really good title track and a really good way to sort of leave you wanting more at the end of an album.
Yeah,
good
I
closing
really
track.
love his vocals on this, especially during that little part that the guitar does, those little killer bees like Really good. I love his like a big presence. Obviously, he's a huge dude as well, but that huge vocal that he just lays on top of that is like so good. And yeah, it's a great finisher for an album, an amazing album. It's kind of like, it reminds me of, again, the Cattle Decapitation. Not as obviously epic as that Cattle Decapitation last track, but it has that same feel to it, especially with just that little melodic part to it, and he's just laying down that heavy vocals on it, and it's something that I can only imagine playing live. Hopefully, we get there one day that we go. Um, there's live shows again, and just to have that, and everybody just you know fist in the air and shit. That sounds so cool.
Yeah, this song I feel would work really great both as an opener and as a closer on the live set. I feel that it would really be a good song for that. But as you mentioned, Cattle Decapitation, I have also written that in my notes, especially that tapping riff and the lyric, humans have failed to be one with the earth, or something like that, like really creates the same atmosphere as the Death Atlas did at the end of the last year. So yeah, really good album closer, and I would have no problem if the album would have ended there. But we have still one more song to go, and also very cool, sneaky, cheeky accents on the drums on the Nuclear as well. But the last song, Mors Temporis or something like that, I don't know. It's an instrumental, an outro, and 10 out of 10 times, I guess I would rather take an outro instead of an intro. I guess it works well. I guess I get why it's there. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. What about you?
The same for me, really. It's something I can take or leave. It just, it just kind of sets the tone, closing things out. And yeah, I guess better off putting it at the end of the album rather than sticking it at the beginning. To the people are just going to skip. But no, it sort of just it gives you a like I said, it was more like an epilogue. The last song was the real closer, and then this just sort of rings out and leaves you with that lasting impression, really.
Yeah, yeah, which is kind of like Radiophobia had a instrumental. I think it was Pripyat outro as well, which is kind of cool. Kind of makes it much more. You're listening to a Cytotoxin album, pretty much. Um, with the theme that they're going for, you get that the Geiger count, reader, I think it's called, for Radiation
Hmm.
at the beginning of the song, and you got this dramatic uh, keys overplay, that piano part into it, which reminds me a lot about Radiophobia. They had, I think, two songs like that on that album, and it's cool. It's just keeping that same, going with that same theme of of that feel of loss, pretty much. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of like when you see those videos of Pripyat, the city, and you just look at everything that was just pretty much abandoned at that time. It kind of gives you that same feel of like, just you're missing something. Everything is just abandoned, and pretty much going into a wasteland, and maybe of stuff that's what's to come, and what you have lost. And again, if this band is, what they're doing is going with that theme, it just it's good that it's there. um Whether it's in the middle of the album or as an intro, that's cool. I would have not liked this as an intro for the album, though. As an outro, it's good.
You know, if we talk about the live set, maybe this is a good song to play over the PA before the actual set, before the band comes on. Maybe that's why it's there.
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
work.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah, that would work. That way you get everybody like, oh shit, they're about to play. All right, let's start piling in the front.
Yeah. So speaking about in album in general, Joe, I have a question for you, and I kind of know the answer. But did this album pass the gym test?
Oh, you know what? I didn't give it the gym test, but I certainly would, because all I would do, I'd just be picturing the singer of the band going, like, "This is what I'm going to look like if I carry on listening and carry on lifting." So, yeah, I've not actually given it the gym test, but I will. I will, and I'm more than confident that it will pass.
Well, now that you know he recorded one of the songs naked.
Yeah, maybe I could. No, I wouldn't want to put that horrible picture in someone's head of me working out naked. That
Man,
that
I
that that'd
mean,
be a psychotoxin album on its own. Christ, wouldn't want to shout on anyone.
this has to be one of the best albums of the year, and it will definitely end end up on my top 5 or maybe even top 3 list. So yeah, we don't usually give the rankings or the rating in numbers, but if you feel like it, don't hesitate and throw out the number if you want to.
I would give this an 8 out of 10. Um, Again, I didn't really think much of the band to begin with, but yet I saw that they were good at what they did when I saw them live, and was kind of, yeah, this band are pretty cool, and I'm glad to say that I have been won over by this album. I'm probably going to buy this album and then work my way backwards, and yeah, they've definitely converted a fan for me with this, and I do think this is going to be seen in years to come as the band's breakthrough album.
Yeah, this album. Again, I'm doing my list as well, and this album is up there in its own obviously category because we got other bands that are similar to this, but yeah, this has to be up there with that category as well. Really good, and again, this is like a perfect segue or a crossover to anybody getting into the band now, which is really good. And I love everything that they do. They get a little bit how do you say it? Knowing that everything's pretty much fucked up now, I'm glad that they probably started recording this before this whole thing happened anyway, and already had this planned out. But I'm glad to see the way it did. Well, not really because of this whole pandemic, but um, it's good to hear this because they experiment with different everything that they have at their disposal, and they just put it out there, and it works. And it's good to see that because I think they're gonna win a lot of people over that weren't maybe on the fence about brutal technical death metal, but this is a perfect bridge album to win over new crowds and to tell everybody, especially with the opening track, Atum, to tell everybody we're still fucking cytotoxin, and this whole album obviously breathes irradiated cytotoxin riffs everywhere, which is awesome as well. So yeah, if I have to give it a number, I think either 8.5 or 9 because it's obviously going to be on my end of the year list as well as amongst other great ones like Goratory had a perfect album as well that sounds equally as good as this. So yeah, it's definitely going to be up there.
I could just picture the guys in the studio going, "Can you imagine if this came out during an actual pandemic?" That was my terrible accent there. I think this whole thing's just been one big good marketing thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, it's because like you said it before, but it could happen. because it could happen. Because God knows how many fucking nuclear power plants there are. There's actually one here where I live, around here, and that bitch has been leaking for about 15 years now. There's a leak that they can't find somewhere.
You know, yeah,
And
and I think if it ever did happen, it would probably happen by accident. That'd be the most
it's gotta happen.
that'd be probably the
Yeah.
most tragic thing of all. Would be some dickhead somewhere did something, and then
And this is the perfect time for that to. I want to say that's the perfect time, and please let that happen. I'm just saying that with this whole pandemic raging on, and people are maybe drop their guard now, this would be the perfect time for some accident like that to happen, which is crazy. That's why it's kind of like, ooh, this is a touchy, weird little. I don't want that to happen. Subject that is like, which works for them, for cytotoxin, because in these weird times that we're all living with, and it's like, you know what, I just went to everything over here in the States is closing. Businesses are closing down. Obviously, there's no more venues available because they've all gone bankrupt, and everything is pretty much it's kind of like a wasteland, pretty much. And I remember in my anniversary, my wife's anniversary, well, our anniversary, I went to get her something, and then it didn't fit. So I was like, "Ah, fuck! We gotta go exchange it." Went there early in the morning. At the time everything's supposed to open, and there's usually a crowd everywhere for that, and it was like empty, dead silent. There was actually crows. You could hear crows everywhere. And I was telling my wife, I'm like, shit, this, if you look around, this is kind of like Chernobyl, which is crazy just to think about it. But this is happening everywhere. You just see abandoned, rundown place. Well, not really rundown, but just closed. Everywhere you see over here in the States, everything's closed, and it gives you that barren wasteland feel to it, which makes this album like this, like, it could fucking happen.
Well, don't worry about that nuclear power plant, though. You have a gas mask, you will be fine.
I could put a cloth filter on top of it. I'll be fine.
Oh, right, it doesn't come with the filter. But by the way, did that box set also come with the vinyl, or was that only the CD version in it?
Yeah, it was only the CD version of it. I still have to get the vinyl. On both of them, it came with the digipack, pretty much. No, actually, one was the digipack, and the other one was the jewel case. But it's pretty cool. The wooden box comes with the autographed poster of it, a reverse poster. Comes with a patch, which my brother-in-law kept, which I was like, all right, fine. It comes with a pick, and what else does it come with? I forgot what else it comes with, but
it's kind of buying you a box of chocolates and eating a couple of them, man.
I know. But again, it was gifted to me, so I'm like, okay. I'll take it off of him afterwards. But well, unlike him, he actually does use them. I just have him stored away like an idiot. I still have your gutted patch. Actually, is right sitting in front of my computer right now. That you gave me. But yeah, the other one, it just came with the gas mask, obviously. Also came out with that shirt that you wanted to get a tattoo with, that says Chernobyl Death Metal, and it has that that dude with the gas mask on it. It came with that shirt. It came with the CD, and it came with a little carrying pouch for the gas mask.
Nice.
So that was pretty awesome. But yeah, pretty cool.
Speaking,
Which I did make a. I'm sorry, I did make a video for it, which I didn't release it because my stupid ass. It's kind of like last year. I made this video for the Typo Negative box set, and I had the green screen behind me, which my stupid ass, and knowing that everything Typo Negative is in the green,
yeah.
every time I held up a record, it showed up transparent. So I was like, ah, mother. So the same thing happened with the cytotoxin one, which everything I showed looked weird, looked gray. So I got to re-record that somehow, and so I could show up the boxes. But yeah.
Yeah, you were mentioning patches, vests, and that also that artwork, Chernobyl Death Metal. I actually made like a DIY patch with that artwork, like a big back patch, and put it over my big disturbed patch on my vest. So maybe at the time when this episode is up, I have already put up pictures of my finished vest on our Facebook page. Maybe not, I'm not quite sure, but what is the progress on your vest? Have you started anything or nothing at all?
Well, it took me probably 2 hours to sew on a mayhem patch, and then I removed it because I didn't like it because it was on a blue denim vest. And I'm like, no, this has to be black.
Yeah.
So the only thing I've done is bought more vests, but haven't put a single patch on them. So yeah, I'm kind of going backwards a little bit.
All right. So, do you, any of you, have anything to plug? I kind of mentioned your YouTube channels in the beginning, but maybe remind to people where can they also find you.
You can find me on Nightmare Cabin. It's a YouTube channel. And if you want to check out anything I write as well, check out Metal Legion magazine. That's Metal Legion, all one word with one L. And yeah, check out just metallegion.com. A really good magazine. And yeah, apart from that, Nightmare Cabin on YouTube.
Yeah, which you just interviewed Frank Rooney, the mighty Frank Rooney, which was yesterday, which I saw it this morning. Um, Amazing, and it's so cool that you guys have so much. It's cool that when I started watching it, it's cool that you guys knew of each other and you guys admire each other, which is kind of crazy, and that's an amazing feeling. And yeah, I watched the whole thing. It was like an hour and 22 minutes long, but it was just a fantastic interview. And yeah, man, cheers! That was just amazing.
Awesome.
It's like watching
Thanks.
Iron Maiden live, pretty much. It's like a bucket list. Like one that's Frank Rini is one of my favorite death metal vocalists of ever, and he's
Well,
definitely on my list. And yeah, that was a amazing interview. Yeah, cheers.
man, it was great doing the same thing with you, man. And you know, I admire you very much. And so that's also you, man. And yeah, I've told Frank about your YouTube channel as well, man. So hopefully you got a new subscriber who's going to be getting out
Yeah,
some of your things. I sent him a personal message saying, check this guy out, you'll love him.
yeah. I
And
saw you
oh,
recommending
thanks for the
great.
thumbnail you made as well. I did mention that in the comment in the description as well.
Yeah,
So
no
yeah, I've got
worries.
you to thank for that, man.
Yeah, I saw you recommending Grace Disgrace too as well. I was like, oh yeah, sweet. Awesome record.
All right. I think that will be it then. I will provide some links in the description. Uh, Also, we'll put Joe's channel and Trez's channel also, so please go check them out if you haven't already. And of course, as always, keep listening to good music, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you again for having us. Cheers.